So let me get this right. You make an excuse, you talk about the win. Although Tom Brady's been playing in that building and win in harsher conditions for the last 20 years. You're making that excuse. You're making the excuse, oh, they had to go 11 personnel for the entirety of the game. You made that excuse. But here you in the second half. But what it sounds like to me, a man once told me, Skip Bayless, excuses are the nails that's used to build a house of failure. We don't use excuses here. You either do or we don't.
They're
now,
6-0.
You don't allow anybody else.
Failure? I don't know. Maybe it's 0-6. Maybe I got dyslexia now. I don't know. I think it's 6-0.
It's my turn. I'm talking. I'm talking now. Hold on, Skip. Let's be real. Come on now. Who have they beaten? Who have they beaten? How many teams have they beaten? They're 6-0. How many of those teams will be in the playoffs? Be honest. How many?
I don't know. It's still early in the season. I don't know. Could Buffalo catch fire? They might.
Okay. So Pittsburgh, the Giants, the Jets are going to be in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. Is that what you're telling me?
No, probably not. No, I agree. That's what we said about the defense from the start. We both agreed as late as yesterday. The defense really hasn't faced anybody yet, and they still haven't, and they won't next. It's a week from Monday night against the Jets.
Right.
And I'm not even sure they're going to face much with Baker and the Cleveland Browns the next game.
But as we go along, there's a stretch that they'll start playing some tougher opponents, and we'll see about the defense. But about the pass defense. But when you look at it, it's not like the Patriots offense have faced outstanding defense. The one defense they faced,
Buffalo.
Tom Brady threw for 150. Buffalo, 150, an INT, and no touchdowns.
Yep.
They won. But all the offenses that they faced are bottom feeders. They're 30th, 31st, 32nd, 28th, 26th. So this notion that all of a sudden they're beating up on powers is not true. Stop making all these excuses. Oh, this personnel. You don't make excuses for anyone else. Aaron Rodgers, you didn't make excuses for him. If you're out there, you're able to go. I don't want to hear nothing about the win. So so this was the first time the wind has blown in Foxborough in 20 years. Is that what you're telling me?
No, obviously he's done this before, but it was severe last night. And as I learned from many coaches back to Bill Walsh and Tom Landry that I got to know very well, the number one X factor in pro football is not rain, it is wind. That wind is the mitigating factor. It can undo you faster than rain can. So that's just me, that was a hard night to play quarterback.
It can, Skip, but here's the thing, the advantage that that Tom Brady has. He practices in those elements. Now, a team that's coming from a dome or a team that's coming from warm weather and having to deal with that, you're absolutely right. But there's a reason why Phil Simms, Phil, the old quarterback of the Giants, said in the Meadowlands, the wind will swirl. But having played in there for a number of years, he knows where to throw, how to throw the football. Trust me, Tom Brady's played in Foxborough his entire pro career. He knows how to throw the football in wind. So don't make those excuses.
But it's a definite valid excuse last night, especially when your number one.
We don't do excuses.
Here's the other thing. The number one target that you have to throw for 334 is a 33-year-old former quarterback taken in the 7th round, playing with cracked ribs, a guy you don't have a whole lot of use for, named Julian Edelman. Not a whole lot of use.
No, Skip. Hold on. Well, since I noticed you kept saying he's a former quarterback. He's a former 7th round pick. You left out one former. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. Don't forget to throw that in there. I have the utmost respect for Julian Edelman for what he's been able to do to carve out a niche, make a name for himself, and win a bunch of Super Bowls. I just don't think he's a top 10 receiver. But that's not the here nor there. That's not what we're debating in this situation. But I'm tired of you making excuses for Tom Brady when he doesn't play well. I don't think Tom Brady played well. You look at the numbers, and if you didn't watch the game and you just read the stat line, you're like, oh my goodness, Tom Brady. But watch that game. Skip, all of it was rim routes. All of it was shadow crosses. How many shovel passes are you allowed to throw in a game?
The same amount you've been throwing for 20 years. It's just part of their offense. It's what they do every single game. It's how they got back in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. And by the way, I'm going to finish my point on Julian Edelman. He threw him 15 balls last night. He caught 9 for 113 yards. And he was doubled every play. And a lot of the doubling was done in tandem with Janoris Jenkins, your favorite cornerback. Jackrabbit. He puts those cuffs on people, right? And I got to tell you, Julian was just eating him alive last night.
Skip, Jack Rabbit was out there with cowboy with boots on last night because he was slow. But you see what they did, Skip? That last pass to Julian Edelman, they had him bracketed. Well, the way you bracket is to stutter and go straight up the field because they're playing you inside out.
Yeah.
That's the play that Gronk got it against the Broncos in the AFC Championship game. They had him bracketed, and he ran straight up the seam. So that's the way you beat bracketed. It was a great call. It was a great catch by Julian Edelman. But, Skip, we got to stop making these excuses. Tom Brady is a 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's a 4-time Super Bowl MVP. He's a 3-time league MVP. He shouldn't be allowed, you shouldn't be allowed to make excuses for him. Because just like you don't allow excuses, because we hold LeBron James to the highest degree. He's the GOAT, right? So we don't make excuses for LeBron. We don't make excuses for Tom Brady. Tom Brady did not play well last night. They won. He scored 21 points. That's what we know. 21 points. But how many of them, 3 interceptions by Daniel Jones, who made a lot of rookie mistakes. But guess what you didn't hear last night, Skip Bayless? You didn't hear old Pat Sherm up in front of the microphone cheesing, did you? Oh, yeah. You should ask those people that didn't think we got the right pick what they feel about him now. He wasn't popping his lips last night, was he, Skip?
No.
Uh-huh. It's funny how that way. Let it play out, Pat Shermer. Let it play out. Stop keying when he played good. Now he's like a meteor coming crashing back down to earth. He's a rookie. Skip, I think he can be good, but there are a lot of throws. He left the huddle, had his mind made up. I'm throwing this ball. That last interception, he made his mind when he broke the huddle. Skip, I'm throwing that 7 route. Even though that's cover 2. There's nothing to hold Gilmore in the flat.
Nope.
There's nothing there to hold him. So he's going to keep sinking. And that's exactly what he did. He made his mind up.
So
Boom.
You say,
And that's what
I
happened.
need to quit making excuses. I think the Hall of Famer through that lens right there needs to start giving just an ounce of credit to the greatness of Tom Brady, because it was on full display last night. Because to be able to pull off what he did, you can't argue with the numbers, 31 of 41 for 334. That's pretty extraordinary when you're throwing to guys you've never thrown to before. Are you kidding me?
You throw to
Do you know what most quarterbacks would look like in a game like that, in that wind? It would be a disaster. Those numbers are extraordinary. They were in trouble. It was 14-14 going to the fourth quarter.
So, Skip, I know we joke a lot. You say he could pull 3 guys from Dorchester or wherever. He might go up to Maine. He might have to take a long trip, drive up to Maine and get 3 guys. But he practices with those guys. He throws to those guys in practice. So don't pretend like all of a sudden he just called 3 guys.
Gunnar Olszewski, how many times do you think he's thrown to him in practice?
Yes.
How many reps do you think he's gotten? He's the new punt returner.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Skip. If Julian Edelman has cracked ribs, he's not doing a whole lot of practicing. So he's got to throw to somebody. So whose position is he playing? Gunnar, whatever his last name is, Skip. What position is he playing? He's playing Edelman's position. So obviously somebody got to get those reps. Brady has to throw to someone to get a rhythm and a timing.
So think about this. No Gronk, no AB, no first-round receiver draft choice, N'Keal Harry, who won't be back for at least 8 games. He'd be eligible after 8 games to come off IR. And you're still doing that, and you still put your team in position to be 6-0. And go ahead.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. I think the thing that made Tom Brady so great is that he did this without an AB caliber receiver early in his career. He did this without a Gronk. So that's what elevated Tom Brady, is that he won Super Bowls without an A-list wide receiver. He won Super Bowls without an A-list type tight end. He did these things. So that's why Brady got so much credit. But you need to stop playing and give Coach Belichick his due, because he has the special teams. Now, special teams, the defense, you can say, well, they ain't playing anybody on offense, or they're not playing anybody on defense. But special teams is a whole different ballgame. Now, this is the second week in a row, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, that they blocked the punt and returned it for a touchdown.
Yep, but their
special teams is playing unbelievable.
This time they didn't really block it. He kicked his blocker in the back of the head. The punt hit the blocker.
He kicked the guy in the back of the head.
Yeah, okay. So
but here's something, Skip. Here's something that bears watching. Coach Belichick showed me last night. He's not really trusting Mike Nugent And it might be because for good reason, because you saw what happened last night. Now, there were times, come playoff time, Coach Belichick slept really good the night before the game because he had Adam Vinatieri and Steven Gostkowski. He no longer has those at his luxury. So it's going to be very, very interesting because come playoff time, Skip, a lot of times these games are decided by a field goal, by a kick, here or there.
Okay, just remember, again, killer wind, and he was kicking into it, and he didn't trust him from 40 yards into it, and then I think it was a 30-some-yarder into it, maybe close to 40, but he let him try one, and he couldn't knife through it, and the ball started to hook and get blown down and hit the left upright. So, again, I'm gonna give the kicker a break, Mike Nugent. That was a hard kick.
But hold on, Skip. So you're telling me in the playoffs it might not be wind?
I'm sorry, say again?
You remember, I say, are you telling me come playoff time it's going to be calm? Because remember, Adam Vinatieri kicked that ball in a snowstorm in a blizzard.
Okay. Well, but they would hope to get.
You're going to have to make kicks like that.
They would hope to. He's on IR.
No,
I don't know.
He's done.
Is he done for the year? I'm not sure.
He's done.
I thought he was just on for.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
done
on for the year. Okay. So the point is, now we look down the schedule, and I'm going to reiterate what I told you yesterday. I still think it's a good shot this team could go 16-0, and that might be because of the caliber of the opposition, to your point. But again, would Belichick want to go 16-0? I doubt it. I think he'd love to lose one game just so they'd have a little more momentum to correct their mistakes into the playoffs. But it's going to be hard to keep them from having home field advantage throughout because, as we said, you get an even better than mini bye now because you get all the way to Monday night until you play the Jets. Then you get the Browns at home. Then you go to the Ravens. They're better. Lamar's